Yo, what's going on YouTube? I'm Sue, and this is the final part of my 3-part video guide series talking about all of the threshold fights in Etheria Restart. In case you missed it, I have beginner's guides here on the channel for Terrormaton and Dokidoki, the other 2 threshold fights, and I will link them down in this video's description in case you haven't actually seen them. But this final video will be focusing on the last threshold fight, which of course is going to be Aurora. Now, Aurora differs from the other 2 threshold fights in 2 major ways. Number 1, it doesn't unlock until much later in the game at rank 30, whereas, Terrormaton, Dokidoki, you'll be farming those within the first couple hours of your journey of Etheria Restart. This one might take a couple of days for you to get to. And the reason for that is probably because of reason number 2. Aurora basically drops module sets that are more geared towards the PvP side of Etheria Restart. Things like Bulwark, which give 1-turn immunity to your character so that way they can't be debuffed at the start of the fight. Doesn't really have much PvE applications, but is one of the most important module sets for PvP. Now, if you're not super keen on PvP, then I can understand you don't need to really engage with this content until you actually need it for things like maybe regular arena, not necessarily summit arena. But for those of you who are serious about PvP, this is a threshold that you're gonna need to learn how to farm. So in this video, I'll go over Aurora's mechanics before we talk about the one free-to-play friendly team that I want to recommend here in the video. And the reason why I want to recommend it is because not only is it free-to-play friendly, but it also can clear all difficulties of Aurora in a reasonable time frame. So it's a pretty good one, and again, it uses all SR characters, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But for now, let's move on and talk about the mechanics of the fight. This threshold will have you facing off against 2 adds as well as Aurora herself. In order to get the fastest clears on continuous battling, just like with Terrormaton, I recommend changing the continuous battle setting auto attack order to focus Aurora first. The adds are certainly annoying, but getting rid of Aurora first will be ideal in order to achieve a clear time that doesn't take several minutes. At the start of the fight, Aurora will use a AoE attack called Dangling Foliage, which inflicts a damage over time effect on your team called Wild Proclamation. But more importantly than that, it inflicts Curse Shield to your entire team. While you have Curse Shield, the damage that each of your animus deals is reduced by some amount based on the difficulty of the fight, basically either 50% at lower difficulties or a whopping 90% on the highest difficulty, Inferno. In order to remove the Curse Shield from your team, you need to get healed by a teammate by a sufficient amount. This is a real bummer because if you're trying to quickly clear the fight, it means that you need to bring healers, which are already slowing down your team's damage and thus making the clear time much longer. A clever way to sidestep Curse Shield, which will be the primary focus of this video, is to use damage over time animus. Since damage over time deals 4% of the target's max health per stack, you can reliably kill the boss without ever worrying about the Curse Shield and how much damage your DPS are doing. There is one major roadblock to this, however, and that is that the boss will constantly grant itself immunity throughout the fight. It's almost like the developers knew that players would just spam DOT to clear this fight. But that isn't going to stop us from trying to use 2 great SR characters that can reliably strip this immunity and allow us to spam our dots to victory. One of which, by the way, has dots in their kit themselves. Anyways, let's take a look at who we're playing. So no matter how you decide to approach this fight, there's no way around it. You need some way to strip buffs, specifically the immunity from Aurora. Without it, you're not going to be able to apply dots to use my team, or if you want to use a faster, like one-shot team with defense breaks and huge single target damage, you still need a buff stripper. So that's going to be the name of the game. Unfortunately, Etheria Restart has like a buff strip problem where only high rarity characters really have buff strips. The best ones are things like Heinrich here, who is a LD SSR character. And then you also have characters like Mia here that have a buff strip. It's a very, very rare ability. There's only really 2 SR characters that are good for this fight that actually have the buff strip. One of them being Obel, who we'll talk about in a second. But the other is Viper. Viper is pretty much your best option as a free-to-play player if you need a buff strip to get rid of immunity. And that's going to be present its own unique set of problems because your buff stripper needs to be the fastest character on your entire team. And Viper is one of the slowest characters in all of Etheria. If you look at his kit, he's designed to be like a counter-attacking slow bruiser, like a Juggernaut. So building him fast is not exactly ideal. But it's pretty much what we got if we're trying to go for a free-to-play team that doesn't actually have SSR characters. So How you have him built is going to be super simple. Plus 12 Swift Rush is pretty much going to be mandatory because he's just so slow without it. So you want to have plus 12 Swift Rush on him. And then after that, just stack a bunch of effect accuracy on your right side modules, or like maybe just one attack here if you can't afford to spare 3 effect accuracy. So that way he can consistently actually strip the immunity and set us up for success with either a defense break or some kind of dots. As for the shell, I think Jackal Guard is a pretty good one to get you started if you've been able to farm this one. Basically something that helps increase his damage and his speed. That's going to be super good for you. Now, let's talk about who else we are playing aside from our boy here, Viper, who again has to be the fastest character. So for healers, you could go with Ling Luo because if you use Sonya, she's going to take bonus damage. She's going to be terrible for this. So ideally, you would like to play a blue Animus that can heal, and Ling Luo is free for everybody after 7 days. And honestly, I don't think you should really farm Aurora until like day 7 onwards, right? Unless you're just die hard into PvP, in which case you'll probably have whaled and maybe have picked this character up already. If you just don't have her and you still want to farm it, just use Dorothy. But for right now, I would say Ling Luo is pretty much your best healer. And honestly, healer might not even be necessary, right? You could replace her with another damage dealer or another dot if you so choose. If you were fortunate enough to pull the LDSSR Shadow Sonya, she will work fine here in this same slot. But otherwise, yeah, Ling Luo is going to be basically your healer here of choice. Just put her on +8 cure set and then whatever you can else in Swift Rush, and that's fine. HP bonus on the right side to help increase her healing potency. And then for the shell, it's either something that increases her turn meter or increases her healing potency or gives heal over time to your entire team. Just overall, I think Ling Luo is probably the best because not only good healer, has the ability to cleanse all the different debuffs that you're going to be getting throughout the fight on you. Now, after that, let's talk about RC77, who is going to need to be your second fastest character. And he's not entirely necessary, but his best replacement is that Dark Sonya that we just talked about, the LDSSR. So if you don't have her, he's a pretty good alternative. Now, the reason why I'm playing this character is because, yes, he has a defense break, but we're playing a dot team. The defense break isn't really important. The main reason to play him is this skill 2 here, Anomalous Onslaught, which, as you can see here, it has a chance to extend all debuffs by 1 turn. So he'll be the second fastest character after your Viper. He'll come and use his S3. Whether it hits or not, it doesn't really matter. He'll come back around after your other characters have applied dot though, and then use this to extend those dots. And by extending the dots, you're essentially getting a ton of extra damage out of the deal. So that's why he is going to be the next character on our team, and he should be the second fastest character behind Viper. As for how you have him built, +8 Swift Rush, because this character is one of the fastest in the entire game. It is trivially easy for you to outspeed Viper. So make sure you pay attention to your speed stat. You need this character to be at least 1 speed slower than Viper for everything to actually work out. And for the right side here, you just want some effect accuracy, pretty much as you can get, but I recognize you're going to be strapped for it because the next 2 characters, spoiler alert, that we're looking at, they're going to need effect accuracy right side modules as well. Effect accuracy is going to be super, super important for a lot of your teams in order to farm efficiently. So if you don't have it, unfortunately, just farm the other thresholds until you get what you actually need. I have crit rate here on him, but it's not really important. It's just as much effect accuracy as you can get, and make sure he is slower than Viper. As for what you have for the shell, either something that reduces cooldowns, something that provides extra damage, something that gives turn meter, any of that is going to be fine. So let's talk about the last 2 characters for the dot team, and these are the 2 core characters here, and that is going to be Obel as well as Fangus. So Obel provides a bunch of dots and can stun the ads with his skill 3, and then his skill 2 also gets rid of immunity. So based on tuning, if Viper doesn't actually have the ability to strip immunity if it gets reapplied, then obviously Obel can do it here with his skill 2 Hydro Beam, and all of his skills generate dot, so he's going to just be the master at making sure that you actually have a ton of dots on the Aurora to do some damage. So he does basically everything you want. He has control, he has strip, he is also a damage dealer. As for how you have him built, you don't want him to be faster than Viper or RC77, but you would like him to be at least reasonably fast, so that way he can actually cycle and get things done. You want to have effect accuracy, at least 2 of these on him. Ideally, 3 would be great on him in order to make sure that he can always land his dots. And then just some amount of like bulk on the other stats would be good, so that way he doesn't accidentally die. As for the shell, basically ones that increase the debuff duration or just, you know, reduce cooldown, speed, any of that is going to end up being fine on him. And then the last character here to talk about is going to be Fangus. Now, Fangus is like super easy to actually build. The main reason we're playing him is because of his passive. Whenever anyone damages Aurora, he has a chance to follow up with his basic attack, which has built-in dot, and then his ultimate here also provides dots. So basically, you just could play him at base speed. He doesn't really need to be fast. What you actually play on him sets, none of that matters. Just make sure he's on triple effect accuracy right side, and you are pretty much good to go. He could just be base speed. It doesn't really matter. Again, for the shell, anything that helps with dots, damage, cooldowns, speed, it doesn't matter. Like, honestly, Fangus' shell really doesn't matter what you actually put on him. Just something to give him actual stats is going to be a-okay. So there you go. That's pretty much it. This is going to be our 5-man cell for clearing Aurora in a decent time frame, like a minute to like a minute 20 with just a bunch of dots. And this team also works on Inferno. So now let me jump in and show you the clear on Hell 4, and then I'll show you also the clear on Inferno. And that's going to do it for my beginner's guide to the Aurora Threshold fight. While the Dot team is not necessarily the fastest team out there, it is incredibly easy to build, consistent and stable, and also still reasonably fast, putting up runs that are roughly around a minute and change for the Hell difficulty, and maybe 2 minutes to 3 minutes for the Inferno difficulty based on things like skill ups as well as your modules. If there's another team that you think might help out other players for this fight, feel free to talk about it down in the comment section below. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later now.